Yesterday I was riding my bike. Good weather, music in my helmet, no hurry, nowhere to be. And somewhere in that ride, the bike just disappeared. I stopped noticing it. There was no me and the bike and the road. It was just one thing wind, music, motion. I wasn't operating a machine anymore. I was just moving through the world as the world. But then, a strange sound. Something had broken. So I pulled over. And the second my feet hit the ground and I stopped the bike, the whole magical experience broke apart. The bike was just there in front of me as an object made out of multiple objects, engine, chain, tires, all separate, all demanding attention. 5 seconds earlier, I couldn't have told you that these parts even existed. Now they were all I could see, trying to troubleshoot. I wasn't riding anymore, I was inspecting and diagnosing. And standing there weirdly, I thought of Martin Heidegger. You see, Heidegger got this famous example, not of a bike but of a hammer. He says that when a carpenter is working well, he doesn't even see the hammer. He sees the nail, the wood. The hammer just disappears into his hand. And Heidegger got a word for that feeling when things disappear. That is ready to hand. And that's exactly what my bike was doing. I wasn't seeing a bike, I was seeing the road, the next turn, the beat of the music. The bike had disappeared. The same way that hammer disappears. It wasn't a thing I was using, it was just the way I was moving. Think about it. When you are riding smoothly, are you thinking about the piston firing, what the gears are doing, what the chain is doing? Not really. You don't think, you feel. You don't think about any of them separately. You just have this one flawless experience. But what happens when it breaks? Suddenly it's not a tool anymore, it's a thing having a weight and shape and engine and many things. It demands to be looked at and diagnosed. When that thing or hammer or a bike, any tool, stops working, breaks down, Heidegger calls it present at hand. You see, when tools is working flawlessly, it disappears. Heidegger called that ready to hand. When I was riding the bike flawlessly as a single experience, I was experiencing that object as ready to hand, as a part of my experience, as the flawless experience. But when it broke down, not only the tool broke down, not only the bike broke down, what broke down was my flawless experience of reality. And suddenly, that ready to hand, flawless object which is supposed to disappear when in experience becomes a problem. And all you can see is that object. You see, it's like my glasses, When they are working properly, when they are ready to hand, their job is to disappear. So I can see through them. But if my glass is broken, the object itself has become present at hand, something dumb there to be analyzed and solved, not something which gives me access to better experiences. So there are two modes object can show itself, ready to hand and present at hand. And Heidegger says this was never just about hammers or bikes, He says we have built an entire civilization on that second way of seeing, which is present at hand. We see the entire world, the entire earth as something broken, as something that as a separate observer we should see as a thing to be observed and measured and calculate and fix. By default, we see the world as something to be fixed. So we need to analyze it scientifically, through engineering, through medicine, whatever. This type of thinking, which Heidegger calls it technological thinking, the way of techne, this way of looking at the world when we fragment everything into a million different pieces and we analyze each little piece as a separate object to use and utilize. But he says that why we are not seeing the world as ready to hand. When my bike was working flawlessly, I was not noticing it. So ideally, we should live our life in a way, day to day, that earth disappear. The actor, the action, and the thing acted upon, all three should merge into one flawless experience. He says, we have forgotten this fundamental way of being in the world, the way of being which is just being, simply being with the world. If you do that, the world itself shows itself in a totally different way. He says our eagerness to analyze and break down everything and to explain how everything works is a disease. It's not natural way of looking at the world. We have been taught by science and technology and mathematics and this type of thinking. He uses the word inframing. You see, we inframe the world like a picture. He says we live in a world picture. We don't simply include ourselves into the experience. No, we keep experience as something outside of us, like a picture hanging on a wall. And then we want to manipulate and study the experience we are having about the world through science and mathematics and technology. You see, so he says that world itself becomes present at hand. When you start seeing everything through this lens, the world itself becomes a problem to be solved. A fragmented group of infinite objects, each is there objecting our consciousness. He says, this is not the natural way of looking at the world. What if you have some faith in your own being? And what if you stop thinking about the world for once and you just live it? You feel it, you live it. You don't try to break it down and analyze it and try to make something out of it, like engineering mind. We have forgotten that we have this particular type of lenses through which we see the world. We think this is the normal way to be. That to be curious is to break down everything and make everything into a problem and then ask question about everything. But he says this is the mode of being you are choosing, and you don't have to choose it all the time. Sometimes you just need to ride the bike when it is not broken. You see, the world is not broken in itself. The world is one flawless whole. It's Purna. We should rather live in the world. The world should appear to us as something ready to hand, something that we use, something that we become, something that we experience, not something which is a problem and a bunch of objects which are there to be measured and manipulated. The real joy of riding a bike is to forget that there is a bike having some cylinder and pistons and power stroke or whatever. The real joy is when bike disappears. The only when the bike becomes a problem, we try to dismantle it and solve it. But he's saying the same mentality we are having, and we are projecting this same mentality through the entire world in our everyday experience of life. We never take life experience as something that there is and to enjoy it, to ride the life, metaphorically like a bike. But we don't ride our life. We become little engineers of our life, this little scientific mind of a mice is constantly doing these little things, trying to find some things so we can use in some other way. This is one way of looking at the life, present at hand. It's good, not bad, useful. But the usefulness is not the end all and be all of life. Life is not there to be analyzed and used. Life is there to be enjoyed, lived, without a separation. Life is not the picture, he says, framing. It's not a picture you hang on the wall and every day you wake up, you start analyzing the picture. You are it, you are in it. You see, you rather ride it. And when you experience it fully in a flow state, the world disappears, only experience remains. You don't ask stupid questions like, what is gravity, what is light? All these questions, according to Heidegger, are symptom of a disease. And the disease is to turn everything into a concept and a tool so we can use it in future. You see, take an example of a forest. You see, when the forest is ready to hand for us, we go inside the forest, we feel it. We feel the darkness, the depth, the enchanting sounds of animals and birds. And you put your feet on the dry leaves and you hear the crackling of the leaves. You see the sunlight artistically filtering through the big tall trees. And you see the different way the light interacts with leaves. You feel it. But when you start seeing everything from the perspective of making use of it, then the same forest itself, lose all its enchantment, all its beauty and magic, and all you see is a timber factory, a wood to be used in furnitures. When you see a mountain, naturally you should invoke feelings of stillness and eternity in you. Changeless eternity and stillness. But when you see the mountain from the perspective of present at hand, you see minerals, cobalt, aluminium. You see, that type of thinking. So he's criticizing present at hand way of thinking. He's saying that world itself is there to be experienced, not to be understood all the time. When there was no problem in my bike and I was riding it effortlessly, there was peace and oneness of experience. The doer of the act and the action all become one experience. But when something breaks down, we have to analyze it, make sense of it, and fix it. But he says the world itself is not something which is broken down, so we have to analyze it and fix it. The world itself is there, right there, with your own self, to be experienced, to be ridden in some way, without thinking, without analyzing. And that is the way of being in the world, which according to Heidegger is meditative. And when you do that, the world itself shows in a different manner. It says, world is not broken. Stop trying to explain it all the time. Just live it. Be with it. Yeah.